to make it as it would look chunky, but it would be lightweight as well. Those few steps are very important in the beginning part, which is making a big difference, having better soldering there as well. Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are making chains. You know how I love chains, and chains are my comfort place to be in, because sometimes if I'm lacking on creativity and I still want to do something and make jewelry, I always choose chain, because I don't know, maybe it's a bit like meditation for me as well, when you don't have to think what to do exactly, but you know what to do. The main aspect here is the chain, and chain elements, you can use it in various jewelry pieces of yours. So I will tell you all measurements and thickness of the metal, which is the most important part in jewelry making. The main thing when you're creating a chunky chain, to make it as it would look chunky, but it would be lightweight as well. And I think I achieved that with this chain, you will tell me, because for me it's like chunky enough, but it doesn't lose that elegance as well, so you can wear it however you want. It's just very universal piece, really. I think that would be very cool as a charm necklace or a charm bracelet. Really, I'm thinking to do that as well, but I wanted to show you as a T-bar necklace because it's very in right now and it's always a classic. You can even mattify it, that would be cool as well. So the finish of it you can choose yourself, be as creative as you want with this one. I'm giving you the base, you're a creator here. So yeah, I think we have to start this. We're starting everything by wrapping some wire. Mine is from Rio Grande, which is sponsoring this video, and I'm very thankful about, and I have a code for you for $20 off of your shipping price as well. And we go. We are wrapping 1.1 meter of wire. Yes, I measured everything for you. Usually I don't have those measurements, but I want to give you options and myself. Sometimes, you know, when you have a wire and you don't know how much actually you need for the chain, an exact chain like this, because we will be spreading that, we will be hammering that, sizes are changing. Of course, it depends on a person who is making the chain as well, so you can go a bit more with your gem rings, then you would be, you know, safe and sure that you have a great amount for your chain. This chain is very close to the neck. We will have in total 38 centimeters of the length of this chain, and then we will add closuring parts too. When we're cutting that much of gem rings at once, it's very important how tight you keep the coil itself. So more tight you will wrap it around the mandrel, less chance of a bad connection of the gem ring will be after. So those few steps are very important in the beginning part, which is making a big difference when you're connecting your gem rings after. Because usually if you are not as good in those few steps, you will have a lot of messing around with each gem ring. You have to connect it, correct it with the saw. So that's a lot of fussing there. But if you make sure you make those steps right, then you're just connecting to that flush, beautiful connection from the first go. And that's so important when you are saving your time. Very important. And now we're coming to a soldering station. We need to solder each of them separately because we will be spreading each of them separately. And I like to use solder under my gem rings. In that sense, I can make sure that I have enough of solder and not too much, and I don't have to clean it after soldering. Maybe just the touch-up, which is very quick itself. When you're coming and soldering everything with a solder wire, like I see a lot of people do, but I see a lot of excess soldering there as well. So I like to be as clean as I can with my pieces. And when we have that many small details, when we're soldering, especially jump rings, it's very nice to use something like copper wire, which I made this one myself. It's just like a clamp, and you can just put that in your pickle pot and take it out without any fussing there. You see how beautiful our jump rings are looking like? No excess solder, everything is like polished even. In this case, we can just play around with our jump rings and connect everything as we want. First step is to squeeze our jump rings. Make sure you're keeping your soldering line on the angle of the jump rings. If you want an even result with your jump rings, it's for perfectionists, then you can use something inside of it. So take a brass wire, take a silver wire, it doesn't matter. Just keep it on the same size. If you squeeze too much, you can just put it in your pliers in this way and correct it if you squeeze it too much. Then come back and squeeze it again just to have the size that you need. After squeezing our jump rings to the right size, we are using planishing hammer to make that jump ring flat and also to have that beautiful hammer texture. Now when we have them all flat, we will be cutting them again. And that's why it was so important to keep that soldering line on the angle, because sometimes even when you're squeezing, it looks like it's on the angle, sometimes it's going away. So we have to cut exactly where that soldering line is. So more it will be in the center, it will be easier to cut it for sure. And we will use the same soldering line to solder them again. Now, if you don't have that much of experience with chains, I would suggest keep everything simple. Make everything in steps. I will link my other video how I'm doing the chain, and I showed you a few ways how you can solder it and not to get lost in the process. So just keep everything in more steps. That will keep you in control. In my case, I will connect everything together and I will solder that in one go. You see how messy it looks like? It's like, how can you even solder it that way? I know, if you don't have that much of experience with chains itself, it looks very messy. But actually it's very organized because I see every soldering line and I put everything that it wouldn't be touching each other as well. And because we cut everything in the same soldering line, we don't have to use extra solder as much. In a few links I used it, but basically it was just based on that old solder. And then we don't have any extra solder, any splashing, everything is clean. It's just, you know, chef's kiss, as they say. Now we will be creating that closure part. For that we need a ring and a bar. When we're creating rings from thicker metal, it's important to go again with your saw and make sure that we have that beautiful flush connection. Now we're cutting our second part of the closure, which is the wire for the bar, as they call it. And everything is coming together at that point. We just need to make sure we have everything without sharp edges as well. So sanding in steps is very important too. So now we need to connect that closure part. So for that, we will be using smaller jump rings and make links of smaller chain in each side and connect that with our closure part. Creating flat spaces where you will be attaching and soldering parts together is extremely important because it keeps you all the time in place, in centered. Nothing is going to sides, you know, like everything has to be controlled. And it works not just only for controlling your piece and your work, it's more like having better soldering there as well, because you don't want your pieces would be hanging on some liquid there, and we don't want that. We want beautiful flat tight spaces and less solder as it could be used. Now we're attaching the small jump rings to our closure parts. Each of them has to have it just to make sure we have a beautiful hanging there. I cut the same way that joining jump ring as I did for the chain links, because we have a solder there now and we don't need to use an extra solder to solder that with our closure parts as well. That's very nice because we don't have to clean that much, so it's all just working for less working in the future. In soldering, it's very important just to make sure you see everything and nothing is touching together where you don't want that solder would be melting. We don't have to use extra solder there. We're just using the same solder we had when we soldered those jump rings. In other soldering steps, you can even remelt the same solder and make everything closer, make everything more in the center. As you saw, I was fixing a bit that soldering there. Now what's left to do is just the touch up. It's not even proper sanding because we don't need to do that. We did all the work before and we're just making those soldering lines just to not to be seen. And that's it. We're putting everything in a tumbler, and when we take it out, it's just the gorgeous shine of the chain. We have our beautiful chain, which is looking pretty cool, I would say. It's chunky enough, it's very lightweight, and that shine of it when it comes through that hammering aspect, because hammering shines very differently than other texture would do. Like, trust me, that's why I love hammering that much, because it gives you a different dimension of shine. It gives you like 3D shine. I don't know if that exists even, because it creates that uniform finish and it's making everything, I don't know, like seamless and edgy, and you can play around with that as much as you want as well. In this one, that hammer texture is very subtle, which I love, but I would love even more hammering in other one, which I made a lot of chains, you know, so I'm like just giving you something that you could work on, and I hope you will make it yourself. Talk with me in the comments if you have some questions, maybe you have ideas for this channel and what I should do next. That would be very appreciated. And yeah, I hope you like it, and I will see you in my next one.